focusing? Probably not. What days? Oh, it's the 11th. System log, September 11th, 2023. Decided to start doing these on a weekly basis, at least, or possibly a daily basis. I don't know. This particular one is going to be more about what happened last week rather than this week. So, as part of our big push to change things and possibly get back in therapy, we went ahead and we moved our services from our second provider back to our first. So we started off at one place and then moved to another in order to help follow our therapist, and then moved back here after 2 years of absolutely worthless fucking just waste of time. Complete and utter waste of time. They couldn't provide us a therapist. They couldn't provide us a therapist at all because fucking COVID blew through the fucking therapist community. Not like disease-wise, but because all of a sudden everybody's shut inside. No, all of a sudden all these mental problems that we have, had to, go away. Maybe that'll go away. Yay. So yeah, perfect timing. Because we had just gotten, Sissy had just come out and we were just starting to process John's trauma when therapy fell out from underneath us and our main trauma therapist left. Anyway, so 2 years spinning our wheels, just getting med services at our second healthcare provider, our mental health care clinic, our second clinic. And and every time we would call, like I remember, there would be a different case manager. We never knew who the hell we were working with. They never contacted us. The only one that did contact us was our nurse practitioner, and she was convinced that you can medicate DID away, and well, it doesn't work that way. As you all know, as we all know, your brain is hardwired. There's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it except manage the symptoms and try to live your best life. And unfortunately, being stuck on a whole bunch of fucking pills isn't going to help. Sorry, but it's not. I mean, meds are great when they work for you, but, we've always followed the process of put the least amount of whatever it is into our body, SSRIs or whatever the hell, they want to give us. Let's start off with the lowest dosage and go upwards from there, rather than just jamming us on half a dozen fucking different meds at high dosages and playing crapshoot. And, let's see if this works. No, how about we don't? How about we proceed from a relatively stable baseline and then go from there? Anyway, so that was 2 years. 2 years of wasted time and energy and just no therapy at all. We haven't had therapy since our last therapist left. So the whole part of this plan was to move our services back to our original clinic, and hopefully they would be able to spit out a therapist for us, and if not on the outside scenario, maybe possibly somehow get our old one back. Well, anyway, so first part of this multi-step plan to make these huge changes in our life, which the system just fucking loves, was to get the services switched. So we finally managed to do that. We got back on with our old thing. We went and we had our intake, not last week, but the Friday before that. Last Monday, we after Labor Day weekend. No, not Monday, Tuesday. Last Tuesday, we had our psych eval, because, of course, anytime that you will go into a new clinic or whatnot, they want to do an eval on you to, find out if your diagnosis is accurate and how you're doing and whatnot. And I mean, there's not much. Thankfully, our new case manager and the psychiatrist who did the eval on us were familiar with, or at least the psychiatrist was familiar with DID, so we didn't have to go all over it again. And, here she is questioning our diagnosis, and, she seemed to accept it at face value, which was nice because we were fully expecting to have to fight this all the way along, just like we've had to do our entire life, fight everything to get anywhere. Moral of the story is be proactive with your health care on all levels. So we did manage to dump the shitty second place. We're back with our first clinic, which we got more warmth of human feeling and contact there than we did in 2 years over at the other place. Just terrible, terrible, terrible organization. We name names, but we protect our identity and our location pretty assiduously, so we are not going to do that. But anyway, they're really bad. So we're back with our second one. We had our psych eval, and of course this put the system in an upset because even though we've been through this whole process before, even though we've had the eval before, even though we know what we are, there's still that, oh my God, they're going to lock us in a fucking padded room. We're going to end up in inpatient and out of control, and the system's just going to go poosh, because we'll be unstabilized. And even though we know that that's not going to happen, like she did ask us if we, had considered inpatient, because we're always straight up with them and we tell them exactly everything. We told them the honest to God truth. It's like, do we have suicidal ideation? No. Do we cut? No. Do we do some sexual self-harm? Yeah, we do. Thanks, Jack. Excuse us. Sinuses. So, we told her about that and the frequency and, why it is the way it is, and we understand why and the mechanism behind it, but, unfortunately there's not a lot that we can do about it without therapy and just, intersystem communication and working on it, because we get so hyped up on the adrenaline high and the cortisone and the adrenaline from the fight or flight instinct constantly being kicked on, that we need something to come down from that, and that's where Jack uses the masturbation. And unfortunately, because our sexual reflex has been tied to pain and discomfort now, he wants to do trauma recreations and make things uncomfortable, which to a certain point is fine, but when we start bleeding from it's that went too far. Unfortunately, that only happened once, and we worked on that, and he's been pretty good about, he likes to push it, but not as much as he used to. So there's that. But anyway, she's like, have you considered inpatient? It's like, yeah, we've considered it, but it's just, okay, if we go into crisis, do you have these services available? If so, so we got the list of that and whatnot, and got through the psych eval. We're doing a month again for, another follow-up to check and whatnot. So why would we admit to the self-harm? Because it's the truth, and because it goes down on the record. And the only way that we might ever get anywhere with disability is by having it on the record, because the last time that we ran through and got to the final appeal level, that was one of the things, patient is not a harm to himself or others. It's like, what do we have to do? We have to go to fucking out, and assault somebody. We have to slice our fucking veins open and, and end up in the hospital and go completely out of control in order to be considered disabled. Apparently, according to the United States government. Sorry. So anyway, we're doing that, and the other part of the equation that's been hanging over our head here, well, the second part of the equation, is that even though we've been driving, for Amazon Flex, because the price of the gas has just went through. We're hovering at just under $4.50 a gallon. It eats the money. For a 5-hour block, we're making $100, and it costs, $40-50 to fill the gas tank in one of these runs, because we don't know where the hell we're going to end up, whether it's local or in Timbuktu. There's no telling. We got sent 30 miles away, which was basically from the drop point, which was basically almost 60 miles away from our home on one of the runs. And it's like, when it takes 45 minutes just to get back to your house, it eats the gas. So it's rapidly turned into, as the gas prices stay high, it's turned into this losing proposition, where basically you have to work 2 days in order to pay for the gas just for one. I don't know if we're making any sense. So anyway, there's been that, because that's been what we've been doing, because it offers the flexibility. If we're having a bad day, we're our own bosses, it's minimal human contact, as opposed to but as the prices have been going up and it's becoming less and less viable, we've had to face the obvious solution that we need to go back to work in the workplace part-time. just to make ends meet, to put food on the table. And also, there's other things that have been let go that need doing, like glasses or, care for the cats. Just common basic things. I mean, they've needed to go to the vet for a while now, but it is what it is, but we're tired of being poor. And even though it's going to cut down on the amount of time that we can put into the channel, it's just, it has to be done. Because it's just, flat out, the channel is just not enough. It's not enough as much as we would love to do it. And, we're not going to push ourselves to do that type of, or that amount of content when it's not putting any food on the table. It's just a cold, hard, logical calculation. So, cold, hard, logical calculation says Chris needs to re-enter the workforce, anyway. So where are we going this? Just give us a sec. So to tie this all in, so we've got moving from service provider back to different service providers. Stressor number 1, stressor number 2, the job situation, and there comes stressor number 3, which is a good thing, actually, but it's just kind of one of these, it's like, shit, give with one hand and take away with the other. We did manage to contact our previous therapist, our good trauma therapist, who's a specialist in trauma therapy and DID and dissociative conditions and whatnot, who helped us, really get to where we're at now, which is far better than we were 4 years ago. Believe me that. Or believe us that. But we contacted her and said, look, we've moved back to the original provider. Do you have any openings? Would you please consider taking us on, because we've had no therapy, and you are basically the only one that can help us, because there's nothing out there. Oh yeah, to add to that, on our new, well, the clinic that we went back to now, there's a year-long wait for any therapist, much less, one that does trauma or things like that. And it's just, they're like, well, would you consider groups? It's like, not so much. We don't do well in groups. But it's one of those, being the smartest person in the room and knowing it type thing. Okay, that sounds really arrogant, but at a certain point in your journey, you've learned so much about your condition that you can basically educate people who should know. So there's that. So anyway, got a new therapist back. She's willing to take us back. But, and here's the but, and here's the other source of stress. It'll have to be as a private client and cash payment, because her work doesn't take our insurance. We have an SMI designation, and they don't deal with SMI patients. SMI stands for seriously mentally ill. That's us. But there's a specific category under the insurance, and where she works for, just in addition to her private practice, just doesn't take that. So we can't get on with a client with the company that she works for, but she's willing to take us privately, but it's going to be cash. So, cash strapped, which, as we told her, just basically gave us another kick in the ass to do what we need to do, which is to, get a part-time job. So we went ahead and and she's like, I'm really proud of you, because that's been one of the major fears of yours. And we're like, yeah, no freaking shit. Because we're not sure if we're ready for it. We're not sure that we're capable of it. And that in itself is humbling. And it's like, we're just dreadfully afraid that somebody's going to piss us off, and all of a sudden Bootstrap's going to clock him, and then we will have thee as a danger to others. It's just all these. We are probably the most stressed right now that we've been since, like, Kim's death, our first wife's death. And a lot of the whole job thing stems from that, because it's all a mix. But we've had that lingering, continuing fear, knowing that eventually this was going to have to become a reality. And that's why it was a crippling blow when, despite, a 4-inch stack thick of paperwork and everything from the experts, that disability denied us. At that point, it's like, okay, great, here we are with our ass hanging out in the wind. We're not going to get any help from the organization that's supposed to help you when you have a disability. Thank you very much, all you fucking fakers out there. Appreciate it. Because you keep the people who actually need it from getting the benefits and make it 10 times harder. Fuck y'all. From the bottom of my heart. Fuck y'all. So there's been that. So yay, original therapist will be able to get back on track, but boo, because now we have to either try to overcome the gas work situation, but that's also another part of this as well, is that because we only have 2 cars in the family, and daughter is now going to college halfway across the city. I mean, it's not a huge, it's like a 30-40 minute commute or something, but still. Oh yeah, and teaching her to drive was fun. We're never going to do that ever again. No. Nerve-wracking in the extreme. And don't get me wrong, she's a good driver. We've been drilling defensive driving into her since she was, riding along in the car. Hey kids, let Dad tell you about driving. So she's actually a very good driver. It's just, she's 18, and it's just parent freaks out. His daughter, it's like when you have kids, you'll know. It's tough to explain, but it's like, as a parent, all of these fears run through your head, no matter how off base they might be or how illogical it may seem. It's just part of being a parent. So anyway, there's been a transportation issue to where we're only having to, our availability has been cut down by about a third, and it's kind of a catch as catch can to get the blocks from Amazon anyway to deliver, so you never know what you're going to get, or if you have to basically be on call or do it like the night before. It's like, we've got a block that we're going to run tomorrow because this is the one day when daughter doesn't need to take the second car, so wife can take second car so we can have our car back to do the deliveries in, because the other one is just too damn small. So there's been that juggling. There's been it's just been a whole bunch of things. It's like, daughter is now at a high school. She's graduated. She's going to college. There was that. Our one son, who was giving us so much trouble, he's finally out of state because we just finally said, this is enough. You're out. Bye. Of the trailer that he had been living with in the back, that we somehow decided to let him do rather than just throwing him out on his ass. And then he nearly burned us all down because he was overloading the circuits in the trailer despite being told not to, which led to melted extension cords and then melted receptacles and nearly burning our houses down. Or the house down and the trailer down, the trailer down and taking us with it. It's like, that was the final straw that broke the camel's back there, because it was willful stupidity. We had told him again and again and again and again, and literally wrote signs and taped them to the fucking counter and everything else, but it's anyway. So he's in another state altogether because somehow he managed to sucker some of his online friends into letting him live with them temporarily, but the last that we heard, because I can't even Chris, I can't talk to him anymore. I can't deal with him. Bootstrap steps in and deals with him because I'm done. I can't. It hurts too much. And it's not the way that I wanted it. It's not the way I wanted it to be. God knows. And I've tried everything. We have tried everything with him. But nothing works. Because he's a full-fledged narcissist who just takes advantage of everybody around him. And it's just the lack of basic hygiene. I mean, for fuck's sake, he was literally sleeping in trash in that trailer. He would just refuse to clean anything up. And I mean, I don't know how many times I've went in and I've cleaned his room and I've begged and pleaded and yelled and everything else. It's just, I don't get it. What is it about you young guys that you don't fucking understand that you need to wash yourselves and wash your clothes, take a shower every fucking day, wear clean clothes, change your bedding, wash your bedding, and pick up your fucking trash? It's not hygienic. It's just basic common sense. What the fuck is the matter with y'all? I don't understand this. I mean, it's like, yeah, boys are messy to a certain point. I mean, even, well, no, because we always washed and showered and shit, and it was because, tight. Anyway, we've been very fastidious about our cleanliness our entire lives, and you wonder why. But anyway, so it's just been a lot of changes over the course of like a month and a half, and the system is reeling from them, and particularly with the job thing. We've applied to a major retailer that is in this area, for part-time, but it's one of these where it's like, we're freaking out about it, and we haven't heard anything back yet, but it's only been like, we applied Friday and it's now Monday, it's like, or Tuesday, what day is it? I don't even fucking know. It is not letting me look. Monday, think it's Monday. Anyway. Lost the train of thought. Oh yeah, but we haven't had enough time to hear back yet. You know, it's like we check and, you know, everything's all through the app now. I mean, it's like you don't even have to turn in a paper application anymore. So anyway, we're waiting on that, and then of course, you know, there's that uncertainty. It's like, okay, is this going to come through? Is it not going to come through? You know, and we're trying to adapt before this happens to get ourselves psyched into that mindset of, this is okay, we can do this, we can actually, you know, we're still capable, even though we have great doubts about that. It's terrifying. It's terrifying not being able to know whether or not you're going to be able to function in the outside world, even with a part-time job. Just a dead, stupid, grunt-level part-time job. We're old enough now that we don't want a supervisory position or anything. You get to a certain point when you realize that those basic jobs are actually, you know, kind of where it's at. Because the more apt, the more competent that you show them that you are, the more work they're going to give you and pile onto your shoulders without any pay, and the more that they'll expect for you. So, you know, it's not the quiet quitting thing, but pretty much. I'm just here for a paycheck. Y'all aren't my friends. Don't involve me in the workplace culture. You know, just want to come, do my thing, go home. You know, that's it.